link to the stream. Alrighty. That is live. All right, it's up. Everybody's getting situated. As you can tell, we have a third chair today. We're still don't love this setup. We're still trying to figure out the best way of doing this with 3 people. And I guess you guys will figure out why there will be 3 people from now on shortly. But I don't even know where my phone is. Here it is. Turn my brightness down so my computer doesn't wig out again. Hey, Robert, who's this guy that tagged you on Timeline Tuesday? I'm the Wave God. Who's that?
Oh, it's a guy I went to high school with. He produces rap music videos.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's based out of Denver, Colorado.
Looks like a pretty serious timeline.
His timelines are super cool.
Really?
His videos are really cool. A lot of really stylistic transitions and shooting and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a cool cat.
He said that you shoot for National Geographic and stuff.
I told him I did, and that psyched me up.
That's pretty funny. God, that freaking coffee smells amazing.
I bet you wish you had some.
God, man, I just can't do it. I'm gonna have to try again. I'm just gonna have to force myself. Is that mine? Is that the one off my desk? Thank you, sir.
One of them.
There's 2 on my desk?
This one hasn't been opened, so that one's mine.
Mine's been opened. I put flavoring in mine.
Well, whichever one of those isn't open is mine. I don't know which one it is.
This one, I guess. I'm pretty sure. About to check. Yep, that one's definitely mine. Hey, how do you go live on Instagram? Yeah, I was gonna go live real quick. Oh, here we go. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are about to start rolling on episode 100 of the podcast. It is a milestone day here. And we're going to be doing a podcast about the 10 Commandments of outdoor video production. Robert just sat down on his microphone, just smoked it. But as you can tell, we've got it live on the YouTubes. We've got the Rodecaster going and a third microphone. What's the third microphone for? You will find out in just a minute. So if you want to jump on the live, it's on YouTube right now. So just find Redneck Tech Podcast on YouTube, and you will be able to follow along with the podcast. And we'll do a Q&A at the end if anybody has any. Kind of a last-minute idea podcast thing. So if you guys need anything, holler at us, or I might even leave this set up live. What do you think? Just leaving this live too? Maybe we'll just go live everywhere.
We'll just be live all over.
There's Clay in the middle. So
I mean, you could put it on a tripod out there or something, or you could clamp it to one of the tripod legs.
What if some people ask us questions and I don't have it in my hand to see?
You just gonna hold it?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I could do that. Wish I had a wide screen on the front of it. But, yeah, so this is for wondering. We've been trying to do most of all the podcasts live on YouTube. But, hey, Dustin Apple is on, and Devin is on. Devin's on it. He's always there.
I don't think he misses one.
He doesn't, man.
He's just making sure that we can't say nothing about him behind his back.
He's all the time working out and, like, doing projects and stuff. And, like, I feel like I do a lot of stuff, but I'm pretty sure Devin does more than I do.
He's on both.
Oh, is he?
Is he on the Instagram Live?
Yeah.
He's on the YouTube Live.
Is he?
Just straight bumping our numbers up.
Yeah, he is, for sure, man. He's all about those analytics.
Outdoor Manners is on here, too. Hola, Senor Red Velvet. Buenos dias, senor.
Is your mic?
That's about as much
good.
Spanish as I got. Donde está las cervezas?
And I want everybody to take note of the shirt that Ryer has on. Ryer, explain to everybody the shirt that you have on.
I don't think that it needs explaining.
It does. It does.
I think that it speaks for itself. What do you want me to explain? Where I got it? Why I got it?
First of all, what the name of the company is that has it, because that should explain everything.
So the label, right? Is that how you say fashion things? Like the label I got this from is called Fresh Prints, Prints of Bel Air.
So you didn't clarify that.
Oh, you didn't know?
No, I thought it was Fresh Prints, like
Fresh
Prince.
Prints.
Prints
of Bel Air.
Can you turn that up? Does it sound okay?
And
you might need to lower your chair a little bit because you're like way up high. Never had that issue.
Yeah, and I like to get shirts that nobody else will be wearing. So this is a shirt.
I can guarantee you I won't be wearing that shirt. I can guarantee it.
I don't know if we can handle all of you.
You know what I told him he needs to do? He needs to get some shirts like that and go have the logo put in them. So like when he goes to trade shows, like he's that guy.
Yeah.
Who is the flamboyant guy walking around with the Copeland Creative shirt? He's like, that's Ryer.
It's Red Velvet.
That's Red Velvet.
Every company needs a flamboyant.
Mate, dude, you know what you should do?
I don't like the usage of the term flamboyant. I feel like it paints me in a light in which I shouldn't be painted in. I think eccentric might be more appropriate.
Okay, I can give you eccentric.
I think eccentric might be more appropriate.
Is it eccentric or eccentric?
Eccentric. There's two C's. Eccentric.
Well, I can see that pronounced eccentric as well, not eccentric.
Who taught you pronunciation?
I'm from the South, man. We've been over this.
Eccentric.
It's that UNG education.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof.
Lack thereof. Yeah, I can honestly say I was having this conversation the other day with somebody. It's like, how much from all of your college classes do you feel like you use? And if I had to put a percentage on it, it would be less than 5%. And I can honestly say that. Like, I have no idea what I used from college.
What was your major?
Business.
And you don't use any of it to run your
No,
business?
heck no. Not a bit of it. And guess what? The class that I struggled with the most, the only class I made a C on in college? Marketing. No lie.
Well, I took one photography class one time in like high school, and I got on it in an art class. I got a B, which is hard to do at a high school elective, is get a B, and I got a B. But now I would like to say, look at me.
Exactly.
Giving me B's, but here we are producing things. So jokes on you, Miss Teacher Lady. I've made it.
All of my college marketing classes were algorithms. And
Yeah,
I have yet to do any algorithm doing any of this.
Algorithms? Like what? Like an Instagram algorithm?
Like just creating algorithms and testing algorithms and all that kind of
For
stuff.
Yeah,
what?
we didn't do any of that in marketing class because if we would have, I would have failed and not made a C. And I would have probably chosen a different career path.
See, that's a Southern way of saying that. Made a C. See, I wouldn't say made a C. I would say I got a C. I didn't make a C. I got a C. You say I made this grade, which is something that I had never heard.
Okay, well, moving on. On the podcast today, we're going to be talking about the 10 Commandments of outdoor video production.
Does it look dark?
Well, I've got my brightness turned down. You set the camera up, Mr. Professional.
Your shirt's not dark, I can tell you that. Everyone can see your shirt.
Oh, yeah, my shirt's loud as heck.
We'll go turn it up.
which is the point.
Technical difficulties. Oh yeah, just burn the retinas, buddy. Do it.
How's that look now?
Yeah, sure. It looks great. Oh, I can't see
Give me my
anything.
glasses while you're over there.
We're working on it, fellas. I should show you what Ryer's doing. Forgot we're live on this. He is trying to dial our light in.
And because I changed the f-stop, now I have to check focus. You can see that on YouTube, can't you?
Yeah,
That's fun. How's it look now?
fine. I don't know.
Really good.
Looks fine.
Does it look any lighter?
Better than most live
Yeah.
streams.
Most live streams aren't shot on FS7. I can guarantee you that.
100%. Most of them aren't 1080p either.
All right.
We need
What
to
if
get
I
that-
did this? What if I did? Can I use? No, I don't know how to do that.
We need to get a monitor loaded up for that FS7 because it looks really flat because that's how we shoot everything is really flat. But when you're sending that to when you're sending that to YouTube, it really doesn't come across that great. Oh yeah, that's much better. Yeah.
Oh, you're looking at the actual stream. I'm looking at what's coming through on the.
No, I'm looking at the actual stream. That looks a lot better.
Okay.
What do you think, Clay? Yeah.
You ain't gonna get any better than that.
Yeah, it's very flat. Like we're not really getting any blacks. Contrast is bad. Colors are desaturated.
If you really went up your game, you'd shoot the live stream on the red.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can do that.
They
it
make
has
it-
HDMI port, so
Oh,
yeah,
does
you
it?
could. All you gotta have is HDMI. We're eventually gonna buy a live stream camera just
Just to leave
in all
set.
of our free time. We're working on, for those of you that don't like looking at this set because we don't really like it because we're crammed in here.
I
We're
don't mind it.
eventually going to work on a studio upstairs that has much more room. If you want to make donations to the studio room,
We'll set up
account.
a
Pa-
Patreon.
Patreon, or do the Venmo thing where people just send you
Mm.
$2. Apparently that's where, dude. So, did you not love that chick that I sent you that TikTok? So there's
yeah.
a chick on TikTok. This is genius, and I wish I would have thought about this, or if I was savvy enough. This Andy Stumpf could make $1 million doing this. Is literally this chick.
Oh yeah, the Instagram caption one.
So I need to. So essentially, she gave out her Venmo and said, "I will comment on anybody's post and just rag them for $2, and I'll prove to you that I did it." So these people started sending this chick $2, and she would just comment on people's Instagram posts, like whatever you like, just to give them crap. So like this girl would be a little too big for her britches. She'd be like, "Yeah, don't do that look again. That's not you." And she would just hammer people and made like bank doing it. She had her Venmo thing where all people sent her the $2, and it was like lists of people that had sent her. It was like,
Oh, I could do that.
oh man, dude, it was great.
That's something Chuck.
Oh,
Chuck.
Chuck could do it. Freaking Kip could do it. Dudley could do it. I mean, you get a witty enough person. Oh, you could
Yeah.
hammer some people. But the best of all time would be Andy Stumpf. But it would have to be like I told him his calling in life is to be the guy that goes to the bachelor party just to bring people down a peg.
It's mean.
He would be great at that.
Or do you get yours plugged in, Clay? Or are you still waiting?
Yeah, no,
I
he's.
didn't need the adapter.
Do you need
Here.
volume good? More,
Gucci.
less, more,
I'm
less.
Gucci.
Oh,
You can have your own special plug in there with your own volume knob. All you got to do is use
Well,
this.
he does. He has one too. That volume knob's for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is
see,
that, the
turn
master
him up.
out?
Yeah, that's the master out. This is the master out.
Hmm.
That's for the producer to monitor. So yeah.
I'm off. I ain't producing today.
So we are about to get live with a podcast, the 10 Commandments of Outdoor Video Production. If you're watching on whatever stream you're watching, either YouTube, Instagram, or I guess later on if you hear the podcast and you want to ask a question, either email it to us or just jump on the live stream or on the Instagram live and let us know what the question is. But we're going to roll into the actual podcast if you boys are ready. Are y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
The Redneck Tech Podcast is brought to you by Diamondback Covers, the absolute best cover you could ever spend your money on. If you need an insurance policy for all the expensive gear on the back of your truck, then you need a Diamondback cover. Make the bed of your truck a vault with Diamondback.
Right here, right here, right here, right here. Yeah. You want it? Yeah. Welcome back to Redneck Tech Podcast, episode number 100, and we are live on Instagram and we are live on YouTube simultaneously. And simulcasting. It is a
thought I'd say that.
high-tech room, and we have from my right, Ryer Porter, aka Red Velvet, and in the middle, Clay has been on the podcast before, but Clay just got here. This is technically his first day in the office to be here indefinitely to help us shoot and edit. We've got a lot of work to do, and so it is a three-man wolf pack now. It is no longer
Used to be a one-man wolf pack.
It used to be a one-man
was a
wolf
two-man
pack,
wolf
two-man
pack.
wolf pack. Now we're three-man wolf packing. So we have got. We're excited to have Clay here. I hope he's excited. And that's the first thing I wanted to do is I talked to you a little bit about this morning when we went hiking, because you called me and wanted to go hiking. And I was like, sure, I don't want to go hiking in the
I
morning.
didn't get the invite. Y'all didn't think to invite me to go hiking?
Well, you don't get here till.
Y'all both were like, hey, let's go hiking with it. That's because I don't have anything to do in the morning. If you would have called me and said, hey, want to go hiking, I would have been hiking. Y'all see this? Y'all see this? Immediately cut out. Me, cut out.
You were going to wear that.
Yeah, which would scare all of the bears away.
All the bears. Well, I wasn't too keen on it because I don't like going in the mornings, but we went and I sweated, and
Well, thank y'all for the call. I appreciate that.
you'll get the call next time. I promise.
I see how it is, Clay.
but-
see how it is.
Anyway, so now that Ryer's pissed off at everybody,
Yeah, I've just got my feelings hurt a little bit. It's fine. I'm used to it as a ginger. It's whatever. People don't really want me around anyhow. I'm used to being the redheaded stepchild. It's just now at work now too, I guess. It's fine.
oh gosh. But anyway, so Clay's here to do a bunch of virtually the same thing that Ryer and I do. But I wanted Ryer to kind of, I guess, explain to him what he's got to look
Me?
at. Yeah. Well, you came in, you got thrown in the fire.
Oh man,
He actually has more time to get a little bit feet under him before
he's
you
seen
did.
you more. He's seen you more hours than I did before.
Exactly, he did.
Yeah.
So, I kind of explained to him that it's going to be a lot and it's going to be a grind. But I think you can explain that more than I can, just because I came into this knowing what it was.
Yeah.
You didn't, and I don't even know if he does. To the point to where I think your fall actually might be more lax than it was last year.
Careful saying things like that.
I know. I speak things as existence. I told him that this morning. I've railed against freaking waterfowl filming. We did Blue Stem. I've railed against doing television shows. We're about to start doing a second television show. I just need to
You
shut
need to
up.
quit talking.
Turns
about
out I don't need a podcast because the more I run my mouth,
Wait. What if you said something about, man, I hope that we don't make
get more
millions and millions
Yeah.
of dollars this year.
we need that, or we need like those elk hunts. They really suck. We don't want to do those anymore.
I'd hate to be running a Panasonic Vericam LT.
Yeah.
Oof. No, sir. I'd hate that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just wanted it to come from the horse's mouth because
So now I'm a horse.
God,
I see how it is,
we
fellas.
just might need to end this one before it gets started.
Might be a two-man wolf pack again here. In a
Yeah,
second.
no doubt. But no, I mean, essentially, you got thrown into the fire, and I told you, I tried to pre-warn you. Look, this is going to be way different than what you're used to. It's going to be way faster, way more. Which you're also somebody that also told me like you enjoy, you don't mind the grind type thing. Like it's going to be a
Hashtag don't mind the grind.
And then you called me at the end of September, and you're like, you weren't freaking lying, because September is rough.
Yeah.
Always is. August is going to be so-so, which you leave on Saturday? Saturday?
The 25th, so Friday.
Yeah, whatever it is. And then I leave on Thursday. You come back Sunday or Monday?
I'm only there for till the 29th or the 20th.
What
I'd
day
have
is
to look.
What day is that? I got it right here.
I'd have to look.
Yes, it's me, stupid computer. Yes, it's me.
28th. So I come back Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
And this,
I'll be
and
back
the
Monday.
25th is Saturday. So I leave Saturday. We're going to hunt that night. Hunt morning, evening. And I don't know what the 28th, I guess it depends on how the
Yeah,
hunt
you
goes.
probably won't be doing anything in the middle of the day because it's going to be so hot. It's
Yeah,
going to be
you said it's hot down
freaking.
there.
Oh my God.
Where's that? Is that the one place? Is that the hottest
That's
place
not
on Earth?
as far south. You won't be near as far south, but further south than that is the most miserable place on Earth.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, and I'll be in TAC. I'll leave for TAC Thursday evening. So Clay will get to do his first couple days alone, which literally you got here, what was it, like a Monday, and I left on Tuesday or something like that?
Yeah.
So, but no, I like to, I'm one of those people that likes to be really mentally prepared for what I'm about to get into. And, I mean, I tried to mentally prepare you, and I've kind of tried to talk to Clay a little bit, but it's a lot. It's going to be a lot of travel, a lot of time away. But, I mean, I look back on some of my best trips and my best falls, and they've been the busiest. You know, like I had some really cool trips. I had the best elk hunt I've ever been on last year. You're going to get to go on that trip. I think you might get to go on one of them. I don't know yet. To the Deseret. And even though you're gone, you're tired, and you want to sleep, beats the heck out of anything else. Right now, I mean, we're so tired of editing. We're ready to get out of here and then throwing him in the editing fire.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to do some Chuck editing and then some Red Arrow editing and get to go from there. Hope you're excited about it because it's going to be busy.
I don't mind not having downtime. Downtime kind of bothers me. Like, it messes with my head.
Well, good.
And,
That's a good thing.
well, and also, like, we could be
It sounds like
traveling-
you're perfect. When can you start?
We could be traveling for worse reasons. Like, we could be doing all this traveling and sitting in meetings all day.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So,
Screw that noise.
there's worse things to be traveling for.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I like to try and prepare because it's one of those things to where you go on a 7-9 day hunt and then literally you have a day in between, but that day is traveling to go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Or getting to the office, going through all your gear, clearing footage, dumping footage, washing your clothes, you leave again.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that I really got tired of more than anything was packing and repacking.
Yeah.
Just because I was flying everywhere and packing and I hadn't really got my flying system down. I still don't really. I might make some changes.
I don't think you ever get your flying system down.
Yeah, I might make some changes this fall. I'm looking at a new backpack system.
I don't think you're going to be flying a whole lot. You'll be flying to Utah. But other than that, I think you'll be riding with Kip most everywhere.
Yeah, but I'm going to have to get to Kip. So I'll probably fly up there.
Oh, really? I would just drive. It's only 8 hours.
Is it only 8 hours?
Yeah, it's only 8 or 9 hours.
Why did I keep flying up there? Oh, that's because my last truck was crap.
Oh, yeah. No, that's why.
Probably why.
Yeah.
But now I can drive up there. Yeah. Well, if I don't have to. If
drive
I don't,
in a heartbeat before I fly.
Yeah. Especially if I know I'm going to be on the road with him for as long as we'll be, then that's better because I can pack more things. But that's what really got tiresome for me more than anything was you pack all your stuff into 2 Pelicans and a backpack, and then you do the gear explosion at camp. Everything gets spread all over the place.
Everything gets there first.
Yeah.
Everything gets spread all over the place in camp. Then you've got, a couple hours to repack all of it. It never goes in at camp as good as it does in the office. Then you fly somewhere else.
You never have as much room.
Yeah.
You never have as much room to work. Like when I get to a camp and they tell me I have a whole room or a whole basement, I'm like, oh, seriously?
Stuff everywhere.
But usually it's like, hey, there's 3 guys in this room. It's about the size of my office, and I get a corner. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
The worst is when I went to the Alaska trip I was telling you about, and it was me and Dalkey in a room we had a shower, a bathroom, 2 bunk beds, and everything that was smaller than your office, and all my gear. And I'm like, this is gonna suck, and it did for 15 days in that room. Oh man, I was so ready to get out of there.
Nope.
But
especially being a person who likes to be very organized and segmented.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get those situations and all of your gear is just in a pile.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. But there's nothing you can do about it. There's nowhere else you could put it.
And like Kip and like Chuck and like Dudley, they hunt until the bitter end. You don't ever have time to pack it like you want. It's like fit it in the case. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah, if there's time to get a hunt in before you have to leave, you'll be hunting.
Oh, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So the fall's shaking out kind of like this. For those of you that are wondering, I'll be at TAC. Ryer's going to Louisiana, and then the next thing is you'll be in South Carolina, and then
I don't go anywhere till September.
No.
Well, then it changed.
It will change. You will be definitely doing something end of August, I would assume. I actually might try and take you here with me as a third guy, if that's okay with them. I don't think there'll be a problem, just because that way I can get your feet wet on that one. And then you'll be in South Dakota. I'll be in Montana. Ryer will be in Wyoming. And then this one, and I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out. You might be going to Deseret that second week or third week with Clint, and then, well, that means you wouldn't be able to come with me to New Mexico. I'm still waiting on dates from Red Arrow to see whether or not, because if you're there, I might send, if there's available, you might come with me, and I might send Ryer to Deseret. But I got a feeling that you're going to be with Kip that week.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's me and Ryer at Deseret, and then Missouri, and then it's off to the races. September's just as crazy as it's always been. I mean, look at that calendar. It just looks like Skittles.
Yeah, we got to get that figured out because mine's still not colored.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But anyway, yeah, it's gonna be a super busy fall.
It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun. There's gonna be, the Deseret trips just to get to go to Deseret, man. Holy crap, that place is unbelievable. Clay's gonna get to go with me to Lee and Tiffany's to do some stuff with.
That's what I'm most excited.
Yeah, that one's gonna be fun. And hopefully we get there at the right time. If we're there at the right time, it'll be a lot of fun. You're gonna go back to Texas and have a kill fest with Kip again. I know you're excited about that.
Is that at Holton's place
Yeah, he's going back to Holton.
in December?
Mm-hmm. No, I think he's going.
I thought we had the December one.
He's going in
Probably
December. I
both.
think he's going both. Yeah, I think he's
Probably
going
both.
twice.
We're gonna do that again.
Because he's going the first week, Red Arrow, Texas. He's going the first week of November. So you're going to be doing a rut hunt there, and then he's probably going to go back and do the kill fest again for does. So you'll be there twice.
We might be going for a big buck on that first one. Might be.
Very
Not sure.
nice.
Well, but if the doe steps out,
Yeah.
it's Kip.
Yeah,
so
Kip doesn't discriminate. Which
equal opportunity.
I didn't realize. I did and I didn't. How big Kip was, even around here. Like I was talking to Daniel Tritt over at the Tritt Sporting Goods, our local hunting store, and he's like, man, I've had a bunch of people come in here and like, did you hear Caleb's doing Red Arrow show? And he's like, and I was like, really? He's like, yeah, dude. People around here love that freaking show. And I was like, well, it's a great show. It's a great host.
I think it's super relatable to guys out there because I think that especially around here and how you've told me guys hunt around here. Guys out here are taking whatever steps out in front of them. You're not waiting for a big massive buck.
Mm-mm.
You may not be waiting for a buck. You're going to take whatever steps out in front of you, and that's really how
brown. It's down.
That's really Kip's style of hunting. For him to wait for a buck takes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If a doe comes out and she's hanging around and maybe she starts acting a little spooky,
yeah,
she's got to go.
If she blows, she goes.
She's got to go.
Exactly.
And so for Kip to hold off and wait for a buck is there's something in him that's just like, I just got to shoot something. If I have the possibility of not shooting something today,
oh yeah,
I can't live with that.
I've been there before.
And I think for a lot of people that's really relatable to them.
Yeah.
Because that's how they hunt, And most guys aren't going to get to go to the Deseret or to Lee and Tiff's place and have big, huge, massive deer and have all the deer to choose from.
All the deer.
They've got the deer that come by their stand, and that's what they're going to shoot. So
well, there's obviously going to be trips that crop up. Like I don't have anything on the schedule for Chuck, and we find out hopefully pretty soon whether or not, and how much we're going to get to do with him this fall. And those are going to be fun trips. They always are. And then I'm sure there'll be a crop up hunt that'll crop in somewhere. Like I'm going to try and go to Oklahoma. I want to take my dad somewhere. I'm going to try and go there.
I think you
in
need to go
November.
to Holton's place.
I'd love to go to Holton's place, but I don't think I can afford to go to Holton's place.
Mm.
I don't know how much it is.
I don't know either.
I'd like to find out. I mean, I'd like to go do a management hunt like he did with that. That was like a freaking killer trip. My dad would love that. But I just want to take my dad somewhere.
For nothing else, just to watch the bucks.
I haven't got to go with him yet in the last 2 years. I elk hunted with him 3 years ago, in 2017.
That's when y'all killed that in Colorado, right?
Yeah, that's when I killed my bull in Colorado.
We weren't too far from you when you did that.
Yeah, y'all were outside Colorado Springs.
Yeah, we were basically on the other side of the mountain range from it.
Yeah, so
just about.
Anyway, I guess we'll get into the actual podcast. I need to connect you to the notes because he doesn't have the notes yet. Do you have the notes?
I have the notes.
Okay.
I have the
been
notes.
in college for 6 years, never once used notes. I think I'm good now.
Oh man, I've used.
You didn't
tons
ever
of
take notes?
No, or study for tests.
Mm.
I guess that's why I'm in year 6.
Yeah.
See, I did that all through high school, and apparently that doesn't fly when you get to college. So
Yeah, no doubt.
you can't try to do engineering classes and not take notes. Well, I guess you could if you weren't really stupid at math. Turns out I'm real stupid at math, so it didn't work out well for me.
Yeah, I'm not the math guy either. I don't have the patience.
Not too good at geology.
So anyway, so the 10 Commandments of outdoor video production. My first 10 commandment, and if y'all disagree with me, please tell me. And a lot of this might sound redundant, we've went over every one of these, guarantee it. But it's one of those things to where I think these things are so important to doing a good job of creating good content, creating content that people want to watch, that people are even willing to pay for. And I say people, I mean companies and brands and things like that. But
I saw a TikTok the other day that was it was a guy who's a photographer, and he was like, only 1% of photographers have this skill. Only 1%. Here's how. And he's like, I've got it. Here's the 1%. And he goes and he pulls out a check. He's like, getting paid for your photography.
Yeah, that's the truth.
That was pretty funny.
That is the truth. The first commandment, I think, and these are in no really particular order. The first thing I think is you've got to know your camera and all your gear that you're using. You need to know the functions, the buttons, the rings, what they do, how to manipulate them. You need to know how to get to things in the menu. You need to be able to manipulate that camera in a way that you can effectively do your job and not take time away from your client or your hunt or yourself while on a trip, because knowing those things are so important, because you can be that much more confident in your shooting ability, in your hunt, really, by just knowing that camera and everything that's associated with it. I know I've been on trips with guys. Anytime that I'm in front of the camera, which is rare, which I try to avoid, is I'm always, most of the time, other than the time 1 or 2 times Ryers went with me, I'm always having someone run the camera that is very inexperienced. And they end up asking a lot of questions that I assume they know. What is the red? I'm looking at red all over the screen. What does that mean? That's peaking. All right. What are those lines that are in the sky? That's zebra. What does that tell me? All these little nuanced things that we take for granted, knowing what they are. And I can never enjoy myself when I do a hunt with somebody like that, because I'm always worried about, okay, are they getting the things that they need?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I'm going to have to edit this, even if it's for a little Rambo shoot, or if it's for like the hunting we did in Oklahoma. No matter what it's for, are they getting the basics? Do they know how to run the camera well enough to where they're not worried about running the camera? They're worried about getting all the things that they need to tell a good story. And that's the basis of everything, is knowing your gear. And if you don't know your gear, then you're going to struggle all the time to try and essentially fake your way through trying to produce something when all you're doing is worrying about, is this in focus? Am I shooting in the right shutter speed? Do I have this camera set to the right frames per second? You know, how do I switch back and forth from high speed to regular speed? How do I do this, that, and the other? Those things should be second nature. You should know how to do
nature too, because when an animal comes in or when things are happening really quickly, you don't have time to stop. You don't have time to fumble around. You don't have time to go around and try to be figuring it out. You need to know, okay, this is what I need to do without really even having to think about it. You need to know how to nail your focus and get your light right and how to move the camera. And if there's settings that need change to get your focus and to get your light right, you got to be able to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way to do that is to make sure that you know your camera like the back of your hand.
Well, a lot of it in the industry that we're in is done in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Or virtually in the dark, yeah.
So being able to know where those things are and not have to turn a light on for them or things like that, just like the first 30 minutes, last 30 minutes, it might be bright enough in that field for you to see, but you can't see back in that little hammock that you're in or anything like that. So,
Or if you're in a ground blind, I mean, it's always darker inside the blind than it's going to
Always.
be outside. So when you start running out of light outside, it's already pitch black inside the blind. And you got to know where everything's at.
Yep. I'm replying to a message on the YouTube. Sorry. The next thing is pre-production, and I've talked about pre-production and why I think that's so important. So the second commandment is pre-production, and the reason that is I think if you take the time to sit down and plan even just a little bit, the hunt, the location, the travel, the logistics, then I think that is going to help you so much when you go into something with a plan. Even though, like another thing I told Clay this morning is my wife is a planner. She wants to plan everything to the dot and tittle, and I'm not. I like to have a good overview, like a 10,000-foot view, but I also understand that a lot of times you're going to have to go with the flow. You're going to have to figure it out. And she doesn't like deviating from plans much. And so therefore I know she could never do this job, because there's a lot of times you have to deviate from the plan. I mean, like when you were in Idaho with Brian and his son, and the hunt was going really badly, and weren't getting on any elk and everything, and you're like, okay, now what do? We don't have elk. We don't have the focal point of this project. Well, how do I save that?
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to go back and you had to get Brian to talk about how hard this was, how cool it was for him to have his son there, get the interviews with them and tie everything together, because, I mean, you can't waste a week of elk hunting and not have something to show for it. And that's kind of one of those things where you just got to roll with the punches and figure it out. And then sometimes you have the opposite, whereas you're editing a show right now where you've got too many kills and you got to figure out how to get them all in there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no template for any of it. That's where we figure it out all the time. Third one I've got is get the B-roll. And what I mean by the third commandment, get the B-roll, is I'm editing footage that we didn't shoot, again, for Red Arrow. Ryer, hate his guts, got to edit all the shows that he shot. So
Which I think is only fair.
So
let it be stated.
He's got all the B-roll, all the Scenics, which I'm going to get into that later. He's got all the things. The headbuster just got on the Instagram and said, "What is Red Velvet wearing?"
It's called style. Look it up.
You missed the very beginning of the podcast. You need to go back and watch the very beginning, or the live stream on YouTube.
This shirt is doing exactly what we need it to do. It's getting attention.
The focal point. You are the focal point. But anyway, I don't even remember what I was talking about.
B-roll.
B-roll. So Ryer's getting edited all the footage that he has, all the shots, all the B-roll, all the scenes, all the transitions, every sponsor shot, every little knick-knacky piece of content he needs to speed the story up, slow the story down, go from one place to the other. And I'm editing, and I might get 2 pieces of B-roll every sit, maybe. And they're not that great. So I'm having to use longer shots and more shots of things that I would generally cut out or speed the story up. I don't have the pieces of content. I don't have those B-roll shots to do that. if I don't have shots to cover up my edits, if I don't have shots to move time around, then I'm stuck with what I got. And I've explained that to so many people before. It's like, I don't care how good of an editor you have. You can hire the editor that edits the best television show in the world, whatever that is. And if they don't have the footage, doesn't matter. An editor can only do so much. So get the B-roll. The shots, you can never have enough of it. Get shots that move the story along, all the little sponsor clips, shots of leaves, trees, grass, all the things that you're experiencing while you're in the field, and then shots of gear, shots of hands, shots of eyes, shots of clothing, shots of you name it, man. There's a laundry list of things that you can be getting, and change your angles. B-roll can be wide, B-roll can be super, super tight, and anything in between. Don't limit yourself to only getting tight shots in B-roll. Don't limit yourself to only getting big, wide shots. And the worst, in my opinion, is everything is medium. Everything is shot, and it all looks the same. I go from clip to clip to clip, and it looks like literally somebody left the camera rolling on the same spot, and they never changed the focal length, or how far they were zoomed in or how far they were pulled out. It makes it really hard to tell a good story when everything kind of has that same medium type feel.
Well, B-roll is what B-roll is what allows you to have options in the editing room.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've got B-roll, you could take that 3 minutes of somebody talking and cut it down to 30 seconds and cover all those cuts. If you have B-roll, you could take 30 seconds of somebody talking and turn it into a minute. You could, especially with TV where you have a time that you have to meet, you can, really play out the beginning of the scene with some really pretty scenics and setting where you're sitting, or, playing out in the middle of the scene until the music hits where you want to bring the animal into that scene. You can speed up that sequence, the shot sequence where the animal comes in and gets shot. If you don't have B-roll, you pretty much have to play it exactly how it happens in real time, or jump cut, or use, hopefully maybe you get some 4K and you can use the crop in and crop out kind of technique. But if you have B-roll of your hunter, if you have different angles of that deer, you're able to, or whatever animal it is, you're able to really manipulate the timing of that sequence, and you can make everything happen exactly when and for how long you want it to happen. And then if you have the B-roll, you can really dictate the emotion of that scene and how it feels. If you want it to feel really fast, you can make it feel really fast. If you want it to feel really suspenseful and drawn out, you can make it feel like that by using longer clips or shorter clips or tight clips or really emotional shots of the hands and the eyes and stuff like that. It's what gives you all of that room to mess around in the edit, that if you only have your A-roll, I guess, which I've never used that.
Yeah, me either.
But I guess that it must be A-roll because there's B-roll. But
yeah.
If you only have the primary footage, you really just don't have all of those options.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, that's why you have to have all of the B-roll.
Yeah. All the B-roll. Fourth commandment is get the dialogue, and then we've talked about this and talked about this and talked about this. The who, what, when, where, why, and whether. Assume your viewer's stupid. Assume they don't know where you are, what you're hunting, or what you're doing at all. Get the pieces of talking that explain who, what, when, where, and why. If nothing else, not for the viewer, for the guy that's going to edit it, if you're not the one editing it. Talk incessantly, even if you feel like you're repeating yourself. Any opportunity to talk and explain what's going on. I can't tell you how many times I ask that question when I'm filming. What is happening? Talk to the camera. What is happening? What are we doing? Where do we just go? Where are we going? Where do we just come from? Why are we doing that? All the time. Who, what, when, where, why, and whether.
I swear I'm going to get a shirt that says Copeland Creative, produce the dialogue.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Talk to me, Goose.
Yeah, I don't understand why that's not. It's so easy. It's so easy. It just takes you as a producer to ask the question, what are we doing? Where are we going? Where do we just come from? Something just happened. What just happened? Tell me what happened. I know what happened. The viewer doesn't. So get those things. It's not hard to do.
And it also turns into template for you to know more B-roll shots to get.
Oh
you
yeah.
know, that you get them talking, and then you go, okay, now I need to get shots of all of those things. And that way you have them talking about those things, and you have shots of those things. And you can use the talking and the shots. You could use just the talking. You could use just the shots, or a combination of both to bring the viewer into the situation that you're trying to show them.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos out there that you never see any B-roll, and most of the time it's because no one ever looks at the camera and talks to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I've edited shows where there's never a word spoken. You're about to edit one.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you are.
He said.
Yeah. The one,
Yes, sir.
The one I just handed you this morning with Chuck. They shot it in a different style. There's never a word spoken. We did not shoot it. But
did you see the look of panic in his face, in his eyes?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm going through the drone stuff. It looks good.
Oh yeah. Well, Wall and Foff, I shot it. I guarantee you it looks really good. The show that they're shooting is completely different than what we're shooting. But it's a style choice a lot of times, and that's just not my style. If you want to do that style, just be prepared to shoot a lot of interviews and read a lot of voiceover. Just not my style, and it's not right or wrong.
I'd rather do interviews than voiceover. That's me personally.
For sure.
I think another thing that was important, and you kind of went quick over it, but you said get the dialogue for the editor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an important point too, especially if you are giving this to somebody else who wasn't on the hunt. All of the things that happen may seem very self-explanatory to you because you were there, you shot it, you were there for the whole hunt. But as an editor, when you get that footage, if you're getting footage and there's no talking, it can be really hard to try to figure out what is happening when. And if you're trying to tell that story, having at least a base knowledge of what happens when is what's going to allow you to really try to edit that piece true to what happened. And so, you know, if for nothing else, get that talking so that when you hand that to an editor, they can go through and see, okay, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened.
Almost serves as notes for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because they'll have to watch through all the footage anyways. And so if you punctuate it with all of those little bits and pieces of talking, then it just makes it that much easier for them to know what's happening, especially if there's a lot of moving or a lot of different things going on. And sometimes it just doesn't look as explanatory in the footage as you may think that it is.
Well, think about shows and things you've edited where there's multiple locations, multiple days, multiple animals, multiple everything, or, in the case of the Virginia show that we're going to edit for Kip, it happens over the course of virtually 3 seasons,
right?
From spring to summer to fall to winter to one farm to another farm to his house if there's not some sort of explanation of what we're doing, where we've been, what time of year it is, us as an editor, we don't know, much less the viewer. So that's why you've got to always, always, always get those things for those 2 reasons, for the viewer and for the editor. But yeah, no, for sure. Next thing is, we've kind of already talked about it. The next 3 commandments are essentially, they're forms of B-roll, but they're more specific. So 5, 6, and 7 are get the transitions, get the establishing shots, and get the scenics. And to kind of break those down, we've talked about it, what transition shots are. Transition shots are things that get you from the house to the tree, that get you from a day to a night, that get you from day to day, that get you from the truck to the tree stand. It doesn't matter what those are. It's a shot that shows me, instead of telling me we're going, things are changing, places are moving, time is moving, whatever that is. It can be a time lapse. It can be a drone shot. It can be a shot of the ranger driving by. It can be a shot of unloading the boat. It can be a shot of anything that tells me subconsciously we're transitioning. And a lot of times in the field, we shoot shots that are technically B-roll that can be used as transitions. But a lot of times I go into the field literally looking for, okay, how do I get from day 1 to day 2? Okay, a night lapse will get me there. How do I get from the truck to the tree? Okay, I got, a shot of Kip driving and getting out of the truck and, getting ready or whatever. That transitions me. I don't have to say anything. You see him doing it.
And it could be a sequence, like what you just said. It's not always one shot. It could be 3 to 5 shots, like what you just said. Truck driving, Kip gets out of the truck, you see him walking into the forest.
Yeah, you can almost edit in your camera. So when you
Yeah.
pull that footage,
I do edit in my camera
Yeah.
virtually.
those 3 clips or 4 clips, whatever, they're in order. You're just pulling them in, cutting them to whatever time you want, and
Yeah.
there's your transition.
Well, that and then you can do it like Ryer said or Ike said, where it's 3 to 5 shots, or it could be literally as simple as him setting us up what we're doing in camp, a drone shot of the truck driving down the road, and the next shot can be him in the tree.
Mm-hmm.
We know by hearing Kip set us up, a drone shot comes over him talking, we hear gravel crunching, and then the next shot is him talking in the tree. That is my transition shot, that drone shot of the truck. That got me from camp to the tree in 1 shot. You can do that in 1 shot, you can do it in 10, doesn't matter, but you got to get me there. Versus the easy approach is shooting an interview that said, well, we got done at camp shooting our bow and we went to the tree stand. I would rather you show me that than tell me that. So get those transitions, establishing shots. How do you get someone into a building? How do you get someone out of a building? How do you get someone to a location? And sometimes it's as simple as getting a shot of the outside of the lodge, the outside of the house, the outside of the tree stand, the outside of the truck. It doesn't matter. Use those shots to establish a place or a location. Get those shots. They're very, very easy to get. And then the last is Scenics. Is what when you hear scenic, what do you think of when you hear scenic?
I think of either wide landscape type shots, or I think of super detail-y tight shots that are specific to whatever area I'm in.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I would even jump into what we consider scenics as time lapses, big expanses of drone shots, anything that is eye appealing, that can be used for a multitude of different things. Transitions, establishing shots, moving shots, B-roll. They can be used for a lot of things, but they're shot for a specific reason. And generally, when I shoot scenics, I want to make them generic enough to where I can use them throughout an entire show
Mm-hmm.
or an entire series. You shoot a big, wide, Midwest shot in the fall. Well, I can use that for any deer hunt that happens in the fall. As long as I don't tie a particular truck or a particular house or a particular landmark to that, I can use that for anything.
Oh, I've seen your truck in a lot of drone
Oh,
shots.
dude, a lot. Because my truck, my old black truck, I guarantee that thing has been in more television shows and crap than I have. That truck got used in everything. But it was a good-looking truck, and I was always on the location, so I'd have somebody drive and I'd fly the drone, or vice versa. Yeah, that truck made a lot of video.
You can also get very, I don't want to say cinematic, but very pretty with the Scenics. They're more of a planned out type thing.
Yeah, generally Scenics are. But they have their own purpose. So those were the get the transitions, get the established shot, get the Scenics.
And go watch a network television show. Not necessarily on the hunting channels. If you watch the hunting channels, you're going to see this stuff. But go watch your favorite show and take mental notes of when they're changing the scene, when they're changing the location, when they're changing, the group of characters that they're following. How are they doing that? What visual and audio cues are they giving you so that you subconsciously go from here with this group of characters to here with this group of characters?
And it's
And
usually
you're
one or two shots that get you there.
Yep, and you're going to see establishing shots. You're going to see scenic shots. You're going to see, the aerials. You're going to see. I don't see a ton of time lapse on.
No, not usually.
When I see them, they're whatever. If a show is like based in a city, I see a lot of pull out time lapses wide of the city. That's usually what I see.
The main one that I can think that used time lapses the most was House of Cards, and their whole intro sequence was time lapses of Washington D.C.
My girlfriend got me into watching Grey's Anatomy a few weeks ago.
Oh, I wouldn't have admitted that.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I counted one episode. They're like 42 minutes long, and every single scenic shot of like transition, either time lapse or drone, or it could have been a helicopter, had the Seattle, whatever that monument is.
The Space Needle?
Yeah, every single one of them of those establishing shots had that needle in it, and there were 11 of them.
Yeah, I watch shows.
Well, it ties it to Seattle.
Yeah, I've watched so many shows, and like, I can't remember the show. It's one me and called All American on Netflix, and they would use their transition shots, and they had a library of transition shots. I'm sure they either bought them or went out and shot them or had somebody go shoot them. And there's like this one shot they use like 9 different times throughout the season. And I've kind of like, they've already used that shot. They've already used that shot.
And then another thing is when you're doing the Scenics, or I know we've passed on, but if you're in a very specific place, it's okay to not get the generic things and get the super specifics. Like when we were in Florida doing the thing with Brian, you want the super specific Florida stuff. When you're in Texas or somewhere like that, super specific Texas stuff. But when you're in just Iowa or Missouri, that's when you can go get the generic stuff.
You get in the Midwest, you can generally make things pass over for certain things. You get in like the Southeast and minus Florida and the beaches, you can make things pass over, like Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, places like that.
Carolinas.
I can probably, if we had to get a shot for like South Carolina, the show I just edited for Red Arrow, I could probably fly the drone around here in the summertime and pass it over for South Carolina. Same thing with Florida. Florida and then the coast in South Carolina, the coast in Louisiana. Like you can probably make some of those things work for one another. But once you add in a house or a truck or a person into that scenic, well, it's tied to that.
Yeah.
And I like to have a mixture of both. I like to have generics and things that are tied, just because it really ups the production value when you can really tie it to one specific thing. Next thing is I want to talk about the 8th commandment, which is always get the recreates. Another thing that we've had trouble getting from other producers and freelance people is they don't take the time to get their recreates or the restages or the whatever you want to call them. Cutaways was what we used to call them. All those nuanced shots of tights of flipping off the safety, tights of clipping in the release, tights of eyes, tights of hands, tights of grunting, tights of tights of glassing, all the different shots that help during a kill sequence or during a spot and stalk or during any kind of hunt sequence, to where you can speed that up or slow it down, like we were just talking about earlier with B-roll. It's just another form of B-roll, and all these things happen while you're on the hunt, but you've got to make sure we get those after the fact, because if you can't get them live, you got to get them after the fact. This is entertainment. What we're producing is entertainment. It's not acting. It's not faking. It's getting the story as it happened, just not in the right chronological order. So that's a really important one that I think a lot of people overlook or just they forget to do, is getting those recreates, and they're incredibly important to be able to restage every scene that comes, that happens, because that helps the viewer. You got to assume the viewer's stupid. If all they see is shots of animals and then an animal runs off, they don't know what happened in between. So if we can show them what happened in between, glassing, stalking, all these things, even if the animal runs off, if we restage how that animal saw you or ran off or whatever it is, if we can't explain that, well, then you left them wondering what happened.
Well, and you're not faking anything. You're just recreating what happened.
Exactly.
If he didn't lay in a river and point his gun upstream and shoot a 1,000-yard shot, don't recreate that. But that's what he actually did. Then go through and recreate it.
Yeah. It needs to be genuine, and it needs to be one of those things to where it's relatable. Some people try and make recreates, and you can tell the ones that are over the top. I try and make recreates as close to what actually happened as I possibly can. I don't like to make them over the top. I don't like to add a bunch of flash to them. I try and make them fairly simple, because usually recreate shots are literally there to cover up edits in a hunt. They're there to, if a lot of the time when the deer comes in, it might take him 7 or 8 minutes to get there to get shot. Well, you don't have 7 or 8 minutes. I've got 2 minutes. So those recreates are what push that timeline. Or if the kill happened in 30 seconds, well, I don't want it to happen in 30 seconds. I want it to happen in a minute and a half. I've got to be able to slow that timeline down. And if I don't have the B-roll, if I don't have the recreates, if I don't have the talking, the dialogue, that there he is, hey, I'm going to get my bow. Are you on him? Are you on him? All those type of things, I can't do anything but show the 30-second kill. That's all I got. If I don't have the things to tell a better version of that story, then I'm stuck with what I've got. And an editor hates your guts.
The biggest way to kind of, I don't want to say hide your recreates, but trying to make them not look like recreates, and tell me if I'm wrong, is I've seen a lot of people, they'll actually get in front of the hunter and shoot back at them.
Mm-hmm.
And people are stupid, but people are smart enough to know that during that hunt, you were not directly in front of that person. I always try to stay like 3/4 of the way behind them, not directly in front of them, but like off their shoulders at a 45 angle and then completely behind them.
I try and stay like wherever I was set up. If I was over their right shoulder, I try and shoot the recreates on their right side, which I generally stay on the right shoulder most of the time anyway. But I'll get directly beside them, shoot them straight side profile, or even almost, a touch in the front. I've done stuff where I'm just directly in front of them, but it's just to be creative and do some sort of like rack focus or something. But generally I'm like, if the gun's pointing this way or the bow's pointing this way or the shot happened this way, I'm here or here is generally where I'm shooting B-roll, back at their face, their eyes, their hands, their calls, or whatever was going on. That's generally how I shoot them. And I like to shoot them medium and tight. And maybe I'll do a big wide, but I usually let my second angle camera get the wide, whatever that is. And I recreate on both. If I don't get the shot happening on the, live on the recreate, on the B-roll camera or the GoPro or the Osmo or whatever, I'll recreate that angle too. I recreate them both. That way I've got two versions of that I can cut back and forth to. Just another way of slowing your story down or speeding your story up.
What I like to do, and I've found this that I've enjoyed doing it a couple times, and I guess the best example of this would be a shot sequence that happened with a turkey with Brian in, what was that, Missouri? Yeah. So basically what had happened was we had set in this place waiting for turkeys to come in. They hung up, and we literally had to leave in an hour. We had to be in the truck driving in an hour. And so Brian goes, okay, we know they're somewhere back behind this little rise. Let's just go sneak up there, see if they're there. If they are and we get lucky, we'll shoot one. So I take my camera off the tripod, hand hold it. He takes his gun, and we crawl all the way through all the grass up to the rise. Turkeys are right there. He shoots the turkeys. It's awesome. We get the recovery and all that. And then we go to do B-roll, and I decided for that B-roll, I wanted it to be as close to real time as possible. And so we did the whole crawl twice, and this is what I did. I for one of the crawls, I literally got behind him and recorded the B-roll as if we were crawling, and I was filming while we were crawling. And so it was really shaky. It was really raw and rough, and that was intentional. And then we did it a second time, and I didn't crawl, but I still made that footage a little shaky. I was intentionally moving the camera from this to that, or kind of just shaking it a little bit. And I think that worked in that situation because the actual shot and that whole hunt sequence was fast and handheld. And if I had tried to get B-roll or recreates that were steady and on a tripod and really smooth, I think they would have stood out from the actual footage, and it would have been jarring.
Yeah.
And so I like to try to think, okay, how did this go down? What's the mood, and what is, I guess that something popped up there on your Instagram live feed.
Live ended. What? Why did that happen?
Time limit, I guess, maybe.
There's only an hour?
I don't know. And I try to think, okay, I don't know if mood is the right term here, but what's the energy of that sequence, and how can I recreate that in my B-roll to enhance that and to make it mesh with what actually happened, And so if you do have a sequence where maybe you're shooting a long-range rifle at a mule deer on the far hill, and everything's very slow and very steady, and everybody is taking their time, well, then the B-roll the type of B-roll or recreates, I call it B-roll. I know it's recreates, it's also B-roll. So, just hear whichever one you want to. If I had shot the recreates in the same style that I had with Brian, it would look weird because that's not how it went down. And that's not the energy that that scene has, that stock had. So for those ones, you do want it to be on a tripod. You do want it to be very calculated. You do want it to be smooth. So just try to keep that in mind. And like you said, you know, you're not going to be directly in front of your hunter, and you're going to try to make it seem like, okay, this is what was actually happening. And that's more for telling the story and getting your viewer to feel like they're there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not faking it. It's just helping your viewer feel like they're there.
Well, it's like think about it like a movie where there's like a chaotic running through the wood scene, running away from a murderer. Are those shots ever on a steady cam to where they're like super smooth? No, they look like they're
all
getting ran over by a
place.
truck, where they're running through and shaking and literally handheld through the woods. It's because they want you to feel the chaos of what is happening in the scene.
Well, like that one, the movie it just came out on Netflix. Everybody's been talking about it. It's an action movie.
Extraction.
So if you watch the behind the scenes for Extraction, they did a oneer action scene,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole thing was basically handheld.
Mm-hmm.
And because they wanted that chaos, because they wanted it to be really raw, there was a scene where they were driving, and it didn't make sense to have the camera on the standard car jib gimbal that you would usually film a car chase scene on. So they literally strapped a guy to the hood of a car, hand holding the camera to get that chase scene, because that's what made sense to the energy of
Mhm.
that particular moment.
Yeah.
So you don't always have to do everything smooth. You don't always have to do it handheld. You need to just make sure you tailor it to the mood and the energy you're trying to set.
Will that cord reach over here? My thing's dying, and we're gonna lose the live stream if it doesn't.
Uh-oh.
We got enough cord?
Yeah, I think it'll work. I think we can make it work.
Oh yeah, we got plenty. I just don't want it to die on us. I keep forgetting to bring mine from home.
It's a good thing somebody's prepared around
Yeah, I
here.
know. It's really, really bad.
What are we on to? Numero ocho?
Number 9. Number 9, which is my favorite, communication. Communication can be... I'm talking about communication in terms of production, but everybody knows I'm like kind of a stickler on communication as terms of like answering your phone because it annoys me. But in terms of what we're talking about for the 10th commandments, the 9th commandment being communication, I think Ryer needs to take this one because you had the best example of how important communication is on this last edit that you just did.
Yeah, so we were in Texas shooting does, and the nature of the place that we're at in Texas, and I don't know if it's like this every year, and I'm not always the best to speak to it because, as any of you know, my hunting experience is summed up in the 4 or 5 years that I've been working filming hunts, so I don't have as much hunting experience as really anybody. But there was so many deer, and they were so jacked up, and the bucks were running all over the place, and the bucks were running the does off the corn piles and everything. And so we're here trying to shoot does, and we cannot, for the life of us, get one to stand still long enough to shoot it. And in this particular evening, I was shooting the camera. Kip was shooting the 300 Blackout, his Red Arrow Weapons 300 Blackout. And so we really didn't even need as much time as you would need to bow hunt for them to stand still, and they still wouldn't. I mean, there's does just running all over the place, never standing still.
Anytime they stopped, the bucks would move them around.
They're getting pushed around, and there's just so many of them that it's really chaotic. And we're trying to get one killed, and they're spread out. I mean, there's does here.
You're not trying to get one killed. You're trying to get dozens killed.
Well, we're trying to get at any given moment, we're trying to kill one doe.
Yeah.
And so, I'm trying to get on the right doe, and I'm talking with Kip to make sure that I'm on the right doe. And because they're moving so much, that changes every 15 to 20 to 30 seconds which one is in the right position to shoot. And so you can hear, if you were to watch this scene, which is probably 7 minutes long, just me and Kip talking back and forth to each other. Okay, it's the one in the very back. The one, is she facing right or left? She's facing left. Okay, I've got her. Is she looking back now? No, not that one. The other one. She's looking forward. Oh, nope, she moved. Okay, it's the one right underneath the feeder. The one to the right or the left of the feeder. The one to the right of the feeder. Do you got her? Oh, no, I don't got her. Oh, she moved now. Go to the other one.
Yeah. But if you...
And it's a solid 7 minutes of that.
Yeah.
And we shoot one, and then we move on to another one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just us talking the whole entire time.
How many times did you have to tell him no during that? You're not on them. You're not on the right one.
Yeah,
Wait
like,
on
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Or I was on the right one. I'm like, the tree's in the way. No, the tree's in the way.
Yeah.
As soon as she cleared the tree, I go, okay, Kip, she's good. You can shoot her now.
Yeah.
Immediately, boom,
Yeah.
gone. Move on to the next one.
The next one.
But you have to make sure that they know whether you are on it or not.
Yeah.
And if you're ready for them to shoot.
Yeah.
Because you could be on it, but your focus could be off.
It's one of the
you
hardest.
could be on it, but your exposure is off.
It's one of the hardest things to do is you go and you bust your butt on a hunt for days, weeks, whatever it is, and your hunter finally gets an opportunity to kill something and you don't have it on camera. And in the terms of a show like Kip's or a show like Chuck's or a show like probably, what we're going to do with Hunt Masters is if we don't have a kill, we don't have a show. That kill is incredibly important. So it honestly comes down to the producer. Dudley's the only one that this doesn't work with. Dudley doesn't care if I get the kill or not. He wants me to, but if I don't get it, he's like, whatever. It's super important for us to get it. And it's a really tough call, trust me, because I've had to do it several times, where you've worked for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is to get a deer or an elk or a antelope or whatever it is in range. And now that you do, you have to tell your hunter can't get it because I can't get it on camera. It's behind a bush, behind a tree. It's too dark, whatever the case may be. But that communication is so important to be able to say yay, nay, or whatever, and to say, yes, I'm ready. No, I'm not ready. All right, and that's the first thing I do if I ever hunt with someone new or if it's been a while. Like if we're in a blind, I'll tell them, like, look, my camera can see. You see this limb right here? Anything on the left side of that limb, I'm good. Mm-hmm. All the way to you see where the food plot ends right here. Just before that food plot ends, I'm good to there. That way they know what my field of view is, because their field of view, even though they're sitting 2 feet to my left, is different. They're going to be able to see to the right further than me, but not as far to the left. And I'm vice versa. So I always make sure I communicate that when I first sit down. Like, look, this is what I'm looking at. These are my problem areas. And if we have a problem area, Brian's one of those that always wants to say, okay, well, I want to be able to shoot there. If you can't see there, let's move around.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I always ask, okay, where ideally is the shot going to happen? Mm-hmm. So that I can make sure that I have the most latitude around that area.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, I cannot see here and I cannot see here. Is that going to be a problem? Mm-hmm. Can you shoot the whole area that I can see? Do we need to move? What do we need to do to make sure that we got the sweet spot between you being able to shoot comfortably and effectively and where we think the shot's going to happen and where my camera can see?
And tree stands are tough too, because, then you have, especially in the timber, if you're in a food plot, it's not that bad. You got a wide open spot, but in the timber, it's really tough. And like turkeys on the ground in the timber is really tough because you being off of their shoulder by 1 foot between trees, they've got a clear shot, you don't. Or vice versa. I remember I went on that trip with 2018 with Brian. We went on that elk hunt in Idaho, and I'm standing there filming this elk. You broadside, all his vitals. It looks like a 4x8 sheet of plywood there, and he, I'm waiting for him to say, "Are you ready? I'm going to take the shot," and then he never does, and the elk leaves, and I was like, "What happened?" And he's like, "I couldn't get a shot. Couldn't get a clear shot," and he's probably me to you, And, but he's directly to my right, and you stand where he was, all you could see was his head and his butt. You couldn't see his vitals at all. Mm-hmm. And he sees my footage and he's like, holy crap, you could see his, I was like, I could have killed that elk 1,000 times. And he's like, oh man.
Cameras have saved a lot of animals.
Oh yeah, they've saved a lot of animals, but I've had them kill a lot of animals too. If I wouldn't have been on some trips, with some people to where I can, help them through something, or I can see something they can't, or, essentially, especially on deer hunts when somebody can look this way and you can look this way, or It's worked both ways for me for sure.
When you've got your headphones on and you're running a shotgun mic, you'll be amazed what you can hear in the timber,
Yeah.
whitetail hunting and
Problem.
You just have no idea where it's
You
at.
have
Yeah.
no idea where it's at.
I heard something.
I don't know where it is.
Don't know where it's at. The shotgun's pointed this way.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's that way.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I told Brian that. Like, I'm like, I hear something. He's like, where? I'm like, no
No
idea.
idea.
Couldn't tell you.
I'm like, but there's something somewhere right here. So because he can't, Brian can't hear that well. Chuck can't hear that well. I mean, it's really like leading the blind most of the time. I'm just kidding. But no, but no, communication is incredibly important, especially when you get in a situation with turkeys and there's multiple does, there's multiple, things like that, to where one little communication breakdown and all that works for nothing, and it's super important. And you've got to have the confidence, and you've got to have that conversation with that hunter or with your buddy or whoever you're filming with. Like, look, if footage is of the utmost importance, then I have to make the call when we shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And if I tell you no, that means no. Or if I say no and you shoot them, just know there's no video because I told you no. And that's a tough call to make. And I've had to make it, luckily not that many times, but it has absolutely happened before. And it sucks. And, but that's what we signed up for.
And that's another thing where, when you film with guys like Chuck, with guys like Brian, with guys like Kip, is they've been doing it for such a long time that it's very automatic for them. They know that you've got your headphones on, or they expect that you do.
Yeah.
Which you should.
Yeah.
They know that they need to ask or that you will tell them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always a really open line of communication. And that's just, they've been doing it. They know how that works.
Mm-hmm.
With guys who haven't been doing it a long time, you just need to make sure that they know, hey, I've got my headphones in. You can literally whisper to me and not turn your head, and I will hear you.
Mm-hmm.
And we can talk that way. And then explain to them, I will let you know when to shoot. Just follow my lead on this.
Mm-hmm.
And just make sure that you're always communicating with them. Because once
Yeah.
they feel comfortable and they know and they kind of get used to that dynamic, then it becomes more natural.
Yeah.
And in the moment, they'll know what's going on.
But that goes all the way back to pre-production. The second commandment is already having these things talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Already having a plan for if you can't see something, what's your go, no go. Like I say, kill him and no. Those are the two things that my people hear. Kill him, no. Because go sounds like no.
And no
So
sounds
that's,
like go.
if you hear no and you thought it sounded like go, it's not. Because I don't say go. I say no. I say no and kill him. That's the only two things you'll hear me say. Or I'll say ready whenever you are. If they're in a wide open field, don't wait on me. I'm ready. You don't have to wait on me.
Let me get my footage, and once I
Yeah,
got my
yeah.
footage, I'll
So
let you know.
it's one of those things to where that communication needs to happen. And luckily, I've been with the people I've filmed so long, they know those things. But like, when Clay starts working with some people, or you go on a trip with somebody you haven't been on, those are things that we need to do before. Say, hey, look, this is my go, no go. I'm going to communicate with you best I can. If you have questions, please ask me, and always be super facilitating to whatever those needs are and get it done. So the last thing I have is, I think this is a really tough thing it's been a tough thing for me in the past. But the 10th commandment is be a producer first and a hunter second. And what does that mean? Well, you're on a hunt, you obviously have to be hunting. But our job is we were hired to be producers, and we were hired to be guys in the field that are capturing content with a camera. So if we're only worried about hunting, we can't take a camera with us. We have a camera in our hand, and our dedication and our job is to create content. And if you're trying to create content and you're trying to film hunts, you've got to make a decision whether or not the content's more important or getting something killed's more important. And if the decision is the content is more important, then you have to be a producer first and a hunter second. You have got to make sure that you are getting the things and doing the things that you have to do and get in order to tell the best story that you can tell. And that is, like I said a minute ago, kind of like telling somebody no, that's a really, really hard pill to swallow, but you have to make that commitment. We have to be producers first and hunters second in terms of we're worried about the footage and everything as of the utmost importance, but in the back of our mind, we're also hunters. We have to be stealthy with our movements. We have to be slow. We have to be quiet. We have to worry about scent and wind and all those same things that a hunter has to worry about. But our focus isn't on killing an animal. Our focus is on telling a good story while being in the act of hunting, or in the, in that place while we're running a camera. Because if we're just hunting and we're carrying a camera with us, you're never going to come back with all the things that you need to tell the best version of that story. So just remember, producer first, hunter second. That's the 10th commandment. You got anything you want to add to that? Take away from it?
I think definitely the hardest thing when I first started was as a deer's coming in, watching it through my little 3-inch screen versus wanting to watch it with my own eyes. That was definitely my hardest when I first started.
Yeah. I've had that. I don't know. I get pretty tunnel visioned when I'm running the camera. I stay in I almost kind of get mad at myself sometimes. Like, I've had whole kill sequences, some of the best kills and things I've ever had happen, and I never look out of my screen. I find the animal on the screen, and I never come out of my screen. The animal gets shot and runs off. I go straight to my hunter, get a reaction, and after it's over, I'm like, I just watched that whole thing through a 3-inch screen when I was like, hell, that happened right here.
Yeah.
Like that elk that Andy killed. Like, I saw that elk. I saw that elk like coming through the trees way up there. So I literally get my camera in that area, and then find him in my viewfinder when he's still in the timber. And then when he comes out, like, I'm in my camera the whole time. That camera, that elk gets, from me to that door and screams in our face, and then he runs out and gets shot and then runs off. I never peeked around that camera as much as I probably want to, but in that moment, it never even crossed my mind. It's like, focus, 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 focus. He runs, pull focus. I'm ready, shoot him, shoots. He runs off. I come right back to Andy. And then after that sequence is over, then I thought about it. I was like, there's an elk right there. Right freaking there that I could have, and I'm there and I was a part of it and everything, but I never got out of my camera because, like I said, producer first, hunter second.
Well, I think that something that a lot of people don't understand is when you're on a trip and you're filming, it's not like we have a lot of fun and we enjoy being there and it's a blast, but it's not the same as if you had gone on the trip without the camera.
Oh, 100%.
Because like you just said, there's two things in what you just said that really make that apparent. One, you're just a little bit removed from that entire situation because you have this barrier in front of you, and it's that 3-inch monitor, and that's what you're looking at reality through. Your whole reality is filtered through that camera lens.
Yeah.
And that removes you a little bit from the moment. That removes you from, quote unquote, the purity of that moment. Like if you had just been experiencing it with your own eyes and ears, So it's a whole different, I don't want to say reality, but it's a whole different experience. And at the same time, that experience is not just watching and listening to that elk. When you've got an animal coming in, there are 5 million things going through your head. At least my head. Maybe you guys are different, but in my head, it's okay. What does a shot look like? I need to get this shot. I need to get this shot. I need a wide. I want a close. I want, animal and hunter. How can I get this? I need to move the camera. I need to focus. Light needs to change. All of these things. How is this going to work for the story? Okay, now I need to make sure that I'm on it. Okay, he's about to get shot. He gets shot. Now I need to go over to my hunter. I need to make sure that I got their reaction. I need to produce that reaction. So you're not just there watching and listening. You're there and you're looking through a camera and you've got all of these things running through your mind. And so it's a whole different experience, and it's a different experience, and it's almost an experience that's a little removed from just the experience you would have if you were there watching it. But that's the job. You're getting paid to go and do that. So what you're giving up is just being able to take in the hopefully the satisfaction of getting cool footage. You have 5 million things going through your head, and you get all these different shots, and hopefully when you bring it back into the edit room, you're able to basically create something to where the viewer can be in that experience with you.
But I
And
think that's
so
what
you have to get
separates
satisfaction in
that's
that.
what separates a producer from a cameraman, though, is what you just said. The separation is understanding in that moment that you're there to do a job. You're not there to hunt. A cameraman is essentially a dummy that stands there and points a camera at something that's happening with no thought into how or why he's shooting what and how he's shooting it. Whereas a producer, just like you just said, he's worried about, okay, how do I get my hunter in frame? How do I make this scene more dramatic? How do I get the B-roll to support this? How do I get the best reaction? Is my audio good? All the things that are going through your head, that's what separates a cameraman from a producer, is that separation in your mind as I'm here to do a job, not to watch an elk get shot or be in this experience. I'll get to enjoy this after my job is over. And that's the separation that I try and explain. And I guess that might be the best way of explaining is that's the difference in a cameraman and a producer. Is really comes down to mindset and comes down to the goal of the project, and that is get the best, most epic possible stuff we can. And that comes with you being in the right frame of mind during the entire process. So,
and you sacrifice a little bit to do that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You sacrifice a little bit of your experience on that hunt to do that. I mean, you're not always going to have to be able to hang out and shoot the crap with the guys.
Very rarely, yeah.
You need to film it, or you need to be getting scenics, or you're setting up a time lapse, or you're looking through the footage, or you're messing with the camera because something weird happened with the camera. So now while everybody is taking a nap, you have to be figuring out what the heck is wrong with the camera and getting it fixed before you go out for the evening hunt. When you're in that moment, you're watching it through the camera. But hopefully, and I think that both of you guys kind of have the same mindset as me. When you get that footage back,
Other than fashion.
well, I don't expect you guys to have the amount of fashion and swag that is literally dripping from me right now.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything.
You shouldn't have.
I shouldn't have.
I get a lot of satisfaction from getting the footage back, making something, showing it to somebody, and then being like, wow, I really felt like I was there.
Yeah.
And that's where I get all the satisfaction.
My favorite, I love making a video and giving it to the person and them saying, oh, I never know that happened.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. They get tunnel vision and what they're doing, and you've got it's and that's easy to do too, is to get tunnel vision and go into the hunter mode of kill mode and making sure that we get an animal down, and that is important. But if you tunnel vision in to where your frame never changes and you don't get to be creative, Jared, did you see what Jared said?
Yeah, I'm commenting right now. Yeah, that's the height of swagger. You haven't even seen my best bike outfits.
He's aggressive.
I have a bike outfit with a rainbow-colored llama on it.
Oh, God. He's aggressively typing, Jared, so I can't wait to see this reply.
Red
I just
Velvet
type
Biker
aggressively
Club.
all the time.
You
The-
do
it's
type
the Red
aggressive.
Velvet Biker Club.
Cycling. It's cycling. It is cycling. God dang, you guys.
Oh.
How many times do I have to say it?
Bikers are us.
Bikers are us.
Man.
But anyway, but yeah, the getting in the tunnel vision, that can get you in a lot of trouble. Not breaking, not communicating, not getting the dialogue, kind of going through the 10 Commandments. These 10 things, if you can adhere to these, you're gonna do pretty good. And try and learn your gear, plan, get the B-roll, get the dialogue, get the transitions, get the establishing shots, get the scenics. Make sure you get your recreates, communicate, and then be a producer before you're a hunter. Do pretty good. Anybody got anything else?
That's all I got.
No more?
No.
No fashion tips? Where'd you get the shirt? How much does it cost? Like, where can you get your own? Is there a red velvet edition coming out?
First of all, I ain't telling nobody where I got this shirt because then y'all are going to be buying it. And I'm not trying to have a bunch of guys running around.
I can name 2 people right now that will not be buying that, and they're both
Yeah.
sitting
Who's that?
right here.
Me.
They're both
Well,
sitting
you
right
told
here.
me today when we were at lunch that you had a cooler shirt than that. I want everybody to know that he said that. Now, when he
I did
produces
say
this,
that. It's not the one I'm wearing right now is cooler than that.
oh wow, that's very pompous of you. your black shirt with nothing on it.
What's pompous mean?
Pompous?
Yeah.
It's a $2 word.
That's a $5 word.
Yeah.
That's a $5 word.
All right.
Pompous means
I think we are. I think we're gonna wrap the podcast up. I think we're gonna hang out on the live stream, and
why is
answer-
it buttoned all the way up to the top?
who asked that?
Because
Oh.
with every button I unbutton, the level of swag increases
Oh, man.
exponentially.
He's got his sweater,
I
sweater
can't-
meat hanging out. Then
I can't. I need to keep my chesticles buttoned up here at the office.
yeah.
Now, if I were
There's
to go
women working this office.
I need to not be bothered while I'm in my office.
Yeah, that's
But
why.
if we go out later, you better believe 1 or 2 buttons. That's the difference between work Ryer and nighttime Ryer is how many buttons I button.
Good gracious. All right, we're going to end it on that. If y'all guys got any questions, hang out. We're going to be on the live stream for just a few minutes after this. Peace.
If he unbuttons it, would it blow out the white balance? Yes. I think you can see by the color of my legs here.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And this is as tan as it gets. Like, this is from
The sun
me
is-
being...
The sun is free. You know that.
The sun is a deadly laser is what it is.
Oh,
Sun's
yeah.
a deadly laser.
he is about a 4,200 Kelvin.
Hair sitting at a 25.
Well, I remember one time we were on a shoot and we had run out of bounces and I was just kind of standing around and I was like, wait,
I am about.
I could be a bounce. So I stood about 3 feet away from the talent and bounced sun off of my fluorescently white chest onto them.
Oh, man.
That didn't actually happen, but it sounds like it did.
Yeah. You'll never prove that it didn't happen.
I hope you can never prove that happened.
Oh, man.
I mean, have you ever seen me and Batman in the same room? Mm-mm. You haven't.
God.
So I could be Batman. You don't know. Although I think right now Clay's outfit is more reminiscent of Batman with the gray and the black and more black. And honestly, it's not doing a whole bunch for me.
I can't just open your eyes.
It's
to
not
everything on
It's
day
not
one.
risky enough. You didn't take any risks with that outfit.
I can't open your eyes to everything on day one.
There's more than the all black outfit.
This is black and gray. I got an all white outfit.
Ooh, that's some swagger right there. I'm pretty sure my dad wore an all white tuxedo with penguin tails to his wedding.
I wore an all white tuxedo to prom.
Yeah, that's swag right there.
Damn
I
right.
can
it's
appreciate
swag.
that.
Absolutely.
Is the
Devin,
top button?
did you see what Devin sent?
No, the top button. Is he editing with his kid and watching the
He's
Red
got
Tech
2 kids
podcast?
watching, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's multitasking.
Who is he?
Yeah. Devin, that's multitasking.
Is the top button? No, the very top is unbuttoned. But this one and this one are buttoned
See,
for
on my
business.
My polos, I button all of them all the way to the top.
Really?
Yep.
That doesn't choke your neck?
Mm-mm.
I can't do that.
I can't either.
Yeah, it chokes my neck. And
I like
hate
the
that.
chesticles to hang out a little bit.
I don't have chesticles.
Well, see, there's your problem. If you had some chesticles, you'd let them out.
Oh, man.
You got to be drinking that black coffee. That'll get you those
I
chesticles.
hate coffee.
I don't understand how in an office where we make money producing content, photography, videography, and editing, I can be the only one who drinks coffee. Usually all 3 of those things, they all go together.
I'm
People
trying,
who do
man. I'm
photography.
trying to. I just can't.
I'm the type of person. If I
Ryer,
don't like
you
the
set
smell of it,
you set the shot up. You set the shot up at 2.8 today. Why wouldn't you go to F7 to make sure focus from the computer on the back wall?
Because
too dark in
it's
here.
too dark in here. I originally had it at f5 something, but it's just too dark in here. Hopefully, when we get the studio set up or get a more permanent setup here, we can really mess around with the light and get it so that we have enough light to maybe run the camera in a little bit of a higher f-stop.
I'm
but
hoping
that's going to take a lot of light, and I'm not sure that we all want to sit here underneath that much light.
No.
So, I mean, especially for YouTube, I mean, you can't, with this live stream, you can't hardly tell what's in focus and what's not. It's
Yeah,
all
I
so
know.
blurry.
Well, and I very rarely run a f-stop that high anyway. I try and keep my f-stop low. That's what gives you the separation in your subject and their background and foreground, and it just makes the shots look more cinematic. I try and keep my f-stop as low as possible. I very rarely go as high as 7. I try and shoot things at whatever the lowest f-stop is on the camera, depending on the situation. F2, F8, I might go to 5, 6 every now and then, but I try and keep it as low as I can. Just got to fight your focus all the time. I'm all the time checking focus, like incessantly checking focus.
Well, with the
peaking
peaking,
or
it's
just magnifier?
Both. I use both.
I can't stand the magnifier.
I don't like it near as good as peaking, but peaking has lied to me before. So a lot of times because peaking goes off of contrast. And sometimes things look more contrasty than others depending on shadows and things. So if it's something that's
there's a scientific term.
yeah,
for
there you go. Anytime there's a critical focus needed, like when I'm doing talking or setups or like recreates or whatever, I'll always bump in, which I've got 2 hotkeys that I can bump in really quick, so it's pretty easy. But yeah, I use both all the time.
You use zebras too?
I don't use zebras
gonna say,
anymore. I
I've
used to.
never used
I
them.
when I first started learning how to run a camera, I think it's important, but now I don't run zebras anymore.
I do it on and off if I've got a really bright sky or something, just to make sure, just to really make sure that I'm getting it right. But I
Mhm.
don't leave them on.
Yeah.
I'll turn them on, check, and turn them back off again. We got the jorts in common. We
Yeah.
all wearing shorts. That's because it's hot outside. I can't
Jesus.
stand to wear jeans
Jesus
in
Christ,
this kind of
it's so
heat
hot.
and humidity. I mean, you just be like sitting in a
Jared,
swamp all day.
Jared, if you're still listening, I think you've answered this, but what do you do for a living? I think I've asked you that before, because I know you're right here in Georgia. I think it's got something to do with the medical field, if I recall correctly.
Seems to be a pretty popular profession around here.
Yeah, a lot of sick people, a lot of old people here.
I mean, there's tons of sick people now because of the Rona.
Yeah, the Rona.
I'm running and I
Can't
stay
remember.
low.
If I'm running it, I stay low, but I'm setting it up and getting it in front of them, usually F4, just to be safer, leaving it in manual so it doesn't try to meter out something else when I turn my head. I know I've watched some, I don't know, I mean, I guess they're like tutorial videos or vlog style videos. I know Peter McKinnon runs his on auto a lot of times for that kind of supply chain. I was way off. Anyway, Peter McKinnon.
He also uses a C300.
Yeah, I think he uses.
That's not his vlog camera. I thought his vlog camera was a 1DX.
It is, but his studio camera is the Canon version of that.
Yeah, the C. Is it a C3 or a C5?
I think it's a 5 now.
C500. I really like the Canon colors. It's just impractical to run that camera on a hunt.
And their autofocus is amazing.
Yeah, and his always looks really good, but
Yeah.
and he's also really animated when he talks. He never just sits still, which I've noticed that with the people that I've filmed over the years that are incredibly good on camera, that have really big personalities, never sit still.
Yeah.
They always talk with their hands. They're always super like Foxworthy's one of them. That man couldn't talk if you tied his hands behind his back. I'm telling you. Chuck doesn't talk with his hands, but he's pretty animated. I guess Peter McKinnon's another one. I mean, even though he's a behind the camera guy, like you can tell he's all the time talking with his hands, and I think that's what separates a lot of people that are really good on camera versus not. That they're not afraid to, talk with their hands.
Oh,
because most people don't stand there and talk like this. Don't move, don't move, don't move. I'm going to talk to the camera. Blah blah blah. To be relaxed, somebody that's really relaxed is going to talk with their hands.
Yeah, I think it's a sign of just openness and, like you said, just kind of ease. You're not nervous. You're not all bunched up. I mean, that's the number one sign is if somebody's nervous or they don't feel comfortable in a situation, they're going to be very closed off posture-wise.
To answer your question from last week about the R5, you can get an RF to EF adapter.
Yeah, somebody else said that. And then Sony just came out with a camera that's supposed to rival the R5. So was it Blackmagic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just came out
12K.
with their, what was it, the 12K?
Yeah.
Yep.
12K.
But it's downsampled to 4K, I believe.
Well, I don't care.
I've heard
scary.
those Blackmagic cameras are real nice.
Sounds like a
They produce a nice
processor on
image.
fire is what it sounds like.
One of my professors.
Yeah.
One of my professors had one, and he says it is awesome, but using it sucks.
Which
Like-
camera are you talking about?
The Blackmagic.
Was it
Blackmagic?
the Pocket
Like,
Mini?
like what it can do is amazing, but just the way it's held and the button integration and stuff, he said it sucks. But what it can do is amazing.
Never shot on one.
And that's one of the major things
I think
with
they're ugly.
Ugly.
the camera itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the major things in this industry is a lot of the cameras just don't lend themselves to what we are
No,
trying to
none
do
of
with
them.
them.
None of them.
Well, none of them do,
a lot of them are
but
studio cameras.
The best one that ever did was the EX. What was it? 300. The 300K, Sony 300K, and then the Sony EX3, which they're years and years old. That's one of the first cameras I ever ran at Sub 7. But dude, those cameras were bulletproof. They were so easy to run, shoulder holding.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Oh man, they had big servo ENG lenses. Oh god, I love those cameras.
That looks like a nice camera to run.
Oh man, they were so nice, and they were freaking bulletproof. I've filmed a many of things die on one of them cameras.
Yeah, that looks like a nice camera.
300K. I ran the 300K for probably the first 2 seasons of The Habit. Loved that camera. But they shot on the S/S cards, and they didn't shoot 4K. It was only 1920 by 1080. But in terms of like a documentary type camera, it'd be hard to beat that camera. Like if we ever did get into some of the stuff that me and you talked about, like with the weather stuff, that'd be the camera to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't look very nice. They've got that yellow, orangey Sony look to them.
Putting it on TV anyways, what's it matter?
Yeah. So
That green. Are y'all still messing around with DaVinci?
not yet.
We have not. Now,
We need
if
to.
you want to talk to somebody who's been messing around in DaVinci, Mike Hearn
Yeah.
he's gone through all the manuals. He's been going through tutorials, and he has been messing around pretty heavy in there. He's to the point we were talking the other day where he's starting to debate whether or not he wants to ditch the whole Adobe suite and just pay the $200 or $300.
Only problem is you can't ditch the Adobe suite. That's where they've got you.
Well,
That's
you
the
still have
genius.
to have
Everything works so well together.
Well, it's
And
not.
you need the
It's not
Lightroom,
that.
and
You
you need
got to
the
have
Photoshop.
Lightroom. You got to have Photoshop. You got to have Illustrator. You got to have Media Encoder. You've got to have all those
After
things.
Effects.
Yeah. So it's like that's
Don't
where
really
they've
get to
got
ditch
you.
it.
That's why we haven't really spent the time or the investment in looking into it much, just because we can't get rid of the Creative Cloud. We're tied to it so much. We use all those programs so much. It doesn't make sense for us to ditch it. As much as we would love to, we can't.
Well, I was talking to Ryer a few weeks ago, and we were on the phone, and he was talking about something getting that spinning wheel of death all the time.
Yeah.
And I've been using 2018 version since it came out. I never updated.
Mhm.
Never once gotten that. Had it crash.
Well, those days are over.
It's way cheaper to just pay for Lightroom and Photoshop. Yeah, I think Lightroom and Photoshop you can get on their own and not have the whole suite.
You have to pay for updates though, I believe.
Have you guys messed with Skylum? Never. I haven't even heard
don't
of
even
that.
know what it is.
What is that? I'm going to go Google it right now. Interesting name. Skylum Photo Editing. Let AI boost your photos. I already don't like it.
I've seen it.
I already don't like it.
I've seen it. It's actually pretty legit. You can change your lip color and your teeth whitening and your eye color. You can.
Is it like a?
Will it straighten my eye?
You can.
Is it like a hunter's app to make themselves look better? Is that what it is?
No, it's like a full program.
Your
Oh,
photography
scale.
elevated.
But
Luminar
you can-
4 is
You can
revolutionary.
like click the sky, and you can do all your normal editing, but just to the sky, and not have to replace it.
So you don't have to mess around with masks and selections
Right,
and
yeah,
stuff.
So you can do that.
Skylum.
I'm watching the video right now. So they have just built in.
They
See,
have
I
they
think
have
that
built-in replacement skies and stuff.
Hmm.
Which
for
I
a
don't-
lot of the stuff that we do that doesn't
I don't like
apply
that
very
I
much.
don't like
Be really good for real estate, things like
Yeah.
that.
I don't like sky replacements and all that kind of stuff in photos.
I've seen it. The Film Riot guys have done a lot of it in their short films, and if you really were trying to get a very cinematic or artistic look, then I could definitely see. Like, there's a lot of times where the sky may. If I knew that I had the time to mess around with the sky or replace a sky, I wouldn't be so worried about trying to find the balance between your subject and the sky being properly exposed. Because sometimes that's hard and there's literally no good balance.
Mm-hmm.
The worst part
And
is when
so-
there's no clouds.
Yeah, so then if you knew you were going to replace the sky, I'd just expose my subject
Mm-hmm.
and let the whole sky be blown out and
Mhm.
replace it. But, we don't, that's not practical for us to do in
You
any
don't
of
have
our
time
stuff.
for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks pretty cool. But all that, I would want to know more about the actual processing abilities of a raw photograph, because I'm not going to really mess around and put all sorts of sky replacements and stuff behind my pictures. I would I just like to process them how they come out of the camera.
Yeah.
It lets you change your hair color, eyebrow color, lip color, whiten your teeth.
Sounds like a catfish's nightmare.
So I can finally not be a ginger. Where was this? Makes deer look bigger. I'll tell
Yeah.
you what, that 16 to 35 does a pretty good job.
Daggum right, it does.
Do you like this with the 16 to 35? With the 16 to 35 this close?
Mm-hmm.
I had Kip tell me one time, he's like, I don't like that picture. It makes the deer look too big. He's like, it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
He said it's cool for like an artsy picture, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, it just makes the deer look way bigger than it is.
Just tell him, Kip, we lie to viewers for a living. That's what we do. All right. Nobody's got any else questions. We probably should do something constructive today. I just got an email of all the changes for Iowa, so I'm going to go look at those. Y'all got anything else? Good? No more questions? All right, ladies and gents. Peace.